issues or whatever reason, some of you sometimes fell asleep also. So for whatever reason you could not attend the class, you should refer to the class recordings. Okay, every day I'm uploading, and I'm mentioning the date also, so that you can understand that which class is of which date. So along with the date and the topic which has been taught, I'm mentioning class recordings, then I'm uploading the files every day. So in case you have not understood anything, you can refer to those classes, and still if there is anything you could not understand, that then you can obviously contact me. I'm always there. Okay, so just to inform you that from last Monday onwards, I'm uploading everything. Every day every day's class recordings I'm uploading at night. So you can refer to that. Okay. So today we will do least cost method again. Yesterday also we did least cost method, in which imaginary you were thinking that this row will be striked off, this column will be striked off, but that was done to make you understand how it is done. Okay. Now today we will do elaborately, because class timings are short now. So if the first day I show you elaborately, then it would have taken up time, and the sum would not have been finished in one class. That's why that sum was taken yesterday, and today we will do this sum. Okay, so this is a transportation problem. Three origins are given, four destinations are given. From the origins, what is the maximum supply of the individual origins? Those are given, and for the destinations, what are the maximum demand coming from the destinations? Those are also given. Individual destinations, those are also given. Now, once we receive a transportation problem, what is our first step? What is our very first step?
To check the total.
Yes, to check the total on both the sides and see whether the problem is a balanced one or not. If it is not a balanced one, then you have to follow different technique that I'll come in the later parts of this chapter. But if if the total is coming exactly equal, then there exists a basic feasible solution. That's why we will move ahead. Okay. So let us move ahead. No need to write all these descriptions. Okay, these are done in the book in order to make you understand. You should not write these descriptions. Okay. Now you see, when we are receiving the transportation problem, the problem is a balanced one and it is a least cost method. Then what is our next step? Our next step is to identify the cost which is the lowest. We have to identify the lowest cost. Now in this table, what are the costs? Costs are only the origins and only the demand sides. Okay, this demand in the row total and supply in the supply total, they are not costs, they are the individual supplies generating from the origins and the demands generating from the destinations. This only this part, no, D1, D2, D3, D4, O1, O2, O3. This 3 cross 4 matrix that is forming, that means till this second last row and second last column, till this part only, these are the costs. Okay, those are not costs, those are quantities. Quantity supplied, quantities demanded, these are only the cost. In the very first day I told you all these things, so I'm just recapping. Okay, so out of this cost given, we have to identify the least cost. Which is the least cost out of the costs given?
1.
1. It is 1. That means the very first allocation will be in the cell O1D3, right? It will be in the cell O1D3. That means in place of 1. So quickly form this table, this first allocation. Name it as first allocation and then form this table as usual as you do. I don't know what you are doing. I'll check all of your copy once we meet in college. Okay, what were you doing in the online classes, that I'll check. So you do in your copy, you make this format of D1, D2, D3, D4 supply, O1, O2, O3 demand, like that you form, and make some little bit of bigger boxes than the question size. Otherwise, you cannot fit the allocation part. Done? Drawn? Have you drawn the format with bigger boxes? The costs will be
Yes.
okay. Row side costs are 6415, 8927, 4362. These are the costs. And the supply side's totals are 14, 16, 5 and 6. And demand side total is 6, 10, 15 and 4. Okay. Now we had identified as that one is the lowest cost. So we will look at this box now. O1D3. We will look at this box in the first allocation. I hope you have named it as first allocation also or allocation 1. So we are at now O1D3. There is 1. And what is our next step? We have to see the row total and the column total. What is the row total corresponding to this cell? The row total is O1, that is 14. First row's total is 14. And we have to also check the column total. Corresponding to this cell, the column total is 15. Right? The column total is 15. So 14 and 15. We have to compare between 14 and 15 and take the lowest one. Lowest one is 14. So we will assign 14 in this cell. This is assignment of the quantity. This is not the cost. Okay, you are assigning the quantity, that if you transport 14 units from origin O1 to destination D3, then you can minimize the cost. That is your objective. Okay, so you are allocating 14 here. All right. Now when you are allocating 14, this 14 is getting exhausted. So you will strike off 14 and you will also strike off 15 and write a 1. Because from 15, 14 has been allocated and this one, one unit is still there. So you will strike off 15 and write 1. Okay. Now, what is the next step in least cost method? Once we are exhausting one entire column or entire row, that column or row has to be deleted in the next allocation. That is our next step. Yesterday we were thinking in imagination that this column is not there, this row is not there, but today we will do it really. Okay. Now move on to the second allocation. Give a heading second allocation. Okay. In the second allocation, this first row will not be there. In the second allocation, first row will not be there. If the first row is not there, then what we are having? We are having O2, D3 and D1, D2, D3, D4 because columns are all there. No one has been exhausted. So all the columns will be there. But out of the rows, first row has been exhausted. So only O2 and O3 will be there. Quickly do it. Quickly make the second allocation. Don't write the circled part and the striked off part. Okay. You will just write the boxes. Corresponding to O2, you will write 8, 9, 2, 7. And under supply, you will write 16. Corresponding to O2, you will write 8, 9, 2, 7. And under supply, you will write 16. Then corresponding to O3, you will write 4, 3, 6, 2. You will write 4, 3, 6, 2 and under supply you will write 5 as it is. 5. And in the demand row you will write 6, 10, 1, 4. You will write 6, 10, 1, 4. Why we are writing 1? Because it's no longer 15. Out of 15, 1 has been allocated. So we will write 1. I hope you have written. Now we will identify the least cost again. Now we will identify the least cost again. Least costs are 2 here. Both are 2 and they are also in number 2. They are in O2 D3 and they are also in O3 D4. Both are having the least cost 2. O2 D3 2 and O3 D4 also 2. So in these cases what we do? We can select anyone, okay, but we will go with the first one. because here only one was there, no? So if we can allocate one, we can delete this column. This is for sure. So anyway, if you select this one also, still you could have deleted. So it doesn't matter which column or which least cost you select. Okay, there is no hard and fast rule. So let us select the first one. Let us go with the numbers. So we are selecting O2D3. When we are in O2D3, what we have to compare? We have to compare 16 and we will compare 1, right? We will compare 16 and 1. 16 is the row total and 1 is the column total. Obviously, out of 16 and 1 is the lowest one. So we will strike off 1 and put a 1 here. In place of O2D3, we will allocate 1 because 1 is the lower one out of 1 and 16. So we will allocate that 1 here. When we are allocating 1, we will strike off 1 from the column total and write a 0. Now we will strike off 1 from the column total and write a 0. Okay? Alright. So what does it indicate? And also in the first row total under supply, that is the row total of O2, we will strike off 16 and write 15 because out of 16, 1 has been allocated. So still 15 is left. Okay. Now what does it indicate? Which one will be omitted in the third allocation? Tell me. Unmute and tell me. Which one will be omitted in the third allocation?
D3.
D3, because we have exhausted the column D3. So when we are moving in the third allocation, D3 we will not write. But O2, O3 will be there and D1, D2 and D4 also will be there. So in the third allocation, come to this third allocation, quickly form this third allocation and write O2, O3 and D1, D2, D4, no longer D3. Bring all the costs from the last allocation and all the quantities also from the last allocation. In the first row, that is O2, you will not write 16, you will write 15 because 15 was left. Quickly form this third allocation. If anyone is having any doubt, you can ask. Have you formulated the third allocation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let us discuss the third allocation. So in this third allocation, we can clearly see that the least cost is 2 in the cell O3D4, right? The least cost is 2 now again in the cell O3D4, sorry, O3D4. That is here it is 2. So now what we have to check? We have to check the row total and the column total which is falling in this particular cell. So what is the row total here? It is 5 and the column total is 4. So out of 5 and 4, 4 is the lowest. So we will allocate 4 in this cell. And we will strike off 4, write a 0. Also we will strike off 5 and write a 1. Because out of 5, 4 has been allocated. So we will write 1 after striking off 5. Understood? Now we have exhausted this third column also, that is D4 column also we have exhausted. We have allocated all the 4 quantities that were set here, right? So we have exhausted the column D4. So come to the fourth allocation now. Now there won't be any D4. Quickly form this matrix. It will be O2, O3, D1 and D2. O2, O3, D1 and D2. And bring the cost from the last allocation. It will be 8, 9, 4, 3. And in the column supply, under supply you write 15 and 1. In the demand row you will write 6 and 10. You will not write any more 4 or 0 because it's not there. Only the D1 column and D2 column is there, so there will be 6 and 10 in the demand row. Okay? Now you check which is the least cost here. In the fourth allocation, which is the least cost? The least cost is 3 in the cell O3 D2, right? In the cell O3 D2, 3 is the least cost. So we have to allocate now. We will compare 10 and we will compare 1. 1 was there. So out of 10 and 1, obviously 1 is the lowest. So we will allocate 1 in this cell. After allocating 1, we will strike off this 1 in the row O3 total and we will write a 0. And in the column D2 total, we will strike off 10 and write 9 because out of 10, 1 has been allocated. So 9 is left. Okay. So we are exhausting the row O3 now. We have exhausted the row O3. So this entire row will be omitted in the next allocation. This is the fifth and the sixth allocation. Why we are doing it together? Because only one row is left now, so we can do it together. Okay, only one row is left. So fifth and the sixth allocation, we will do it together. Just write down quickly. This O3 is getting eliminated, so only O2 will be there. Only O2 and D1 and D2. You write like this. For fifth and the sixth allocation, give the heading, and you will write O2 in the row side and D1 and D2 in the column side. And the numbers or the costs will be 8 and 9. In O2 row, the costs are 8 and 9. Okay. Now what we will do? Out of 8 and 9, we will compare which one is the lowest. The lowest is 8. So we will consider the cell O2 and D1. In O2 and D1, the corresponding row total and column totals are 6 and 15. So out of 6 and 15, we will allocate 6 in this cell because 6 is the lower one, lower than 15. So we will allocate the entire 6 here and thus this column will also be exhausted. Okay. Now we will move on to the D2 column. In D2 column, again we will compare. We have 9 in this side and also 9 in this side. There is a missing striking off. Okay. It will be striked off and you will write a 9 because out of 15, 6 you are allocating in the cell O2 D1. Thus you are left with 15 minus 6, that is 9. Alright. Now 9 and 9 on both the sides. So you will allocate 9 in the cell O2 D2. So it's matching. That means our answer is correct. Alright. So have you understood how these allocations are being done? In the last part, 9 was left in the O2 total because out of 9 you have allocated 6 in the first column. That means in the first cell you have allocated 6. So 9 was left. 9, and when you are coming to the next cell, 9 is left in both the sides. So you will allocate 9 in this cell. So it matched. The following table gives the initial basic feasible solution. Now we will bring on all the allocations from all the 5 tables that you have formed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables you have formed now. And you will bring all the allocations from there and finally you will summarize it in a single table. Do it. Thus, after doing all the allocations, the following table is formulated which gives the initial basic feasible solution. which gives the initial basic feasible solution. So have you done the final table, having all the allocations in a single table, and then you will calculate the total cost, total transportation cost. The method of calculating the total transportation cost is you will have to go on multiplying the allocations with the costs present in those cells, and you will go on adding those multiplications value. So it will be 14 into 1 plus 6 into 8 plus 9 into 9 plus 1 into 2 plus 1 into 3 plus 4 into 2. Do it and see whether you are getting 156 or not. In the meanwhile, I'll take the attendance. 156. Okay, very good, Muskan. So all of you should do this allocations in a single table finally, and then you will find out the total cost. You do it. In the meanwhile, I'll take the attendance. Okay, you will unmute and respond. Respond, please. Abhijit, Abhishna,
Present, ma'am.
Anurag, Aryan,
Yes, ma'am.
Ashish,
Yes, ma'am.
Ashmita,
Yes, ma'am.
Vibetsna,
Present, ma'am.
Debrupa, Harshita, Ishika,
Present, ma'am.
Ishika Agarwal, Kajal,
Present, ma'am.
Kasak,
Present, ma'am.
Kushi, Prisan, Mahima,
Present, ma'am.
Mamta,
Present, ma'am.
Mohit, Muskan Prasad, Muskan Gupta,
Yes, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Namrata,
Yes, ma'am.
Nidhi.
Present, ma'am.
Nidhi, you're understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Nitesh, Parnodeep,
Present, ma'am.
Pavan, Prashil, Pratiksha, Pratiksha Giri,
Present, ma'am.
Priyanka, Pooja,
Present, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Rahul, Rajat, Ramkrishna,
Present, ma'am.
Rohit Bansal, Rohit Pandey, Sagar, Salina,
Present, ma'am.
Shalini,
Present, ma'am.
Shruti, Siddhant, Saurav,
Present, ma'am.
Shobhit,
Yes, ma'am.
Supriya,
Present, ma'am.
Suraj, Swayam, Tanya, Vinit. Okay, so then see you again at 9:20 a.m. with financial management. You can leave the class and join your next class. See you at 9:20. Bye bye.